truth. You can't handle the truth.
Don't label us, let's go right. Our American. Not looking for a war, but we came to fight. Our American. Somebody's gotta stand up. Stand up. Somebody's gotta do what's right. We're rising cause we're fed up. Got our house in order and got chores in sight. I am American. That's what I am. That's what I think and what I do. I am American. That's what I am. And I bleed red, white, and blue.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Super Dave Show. It is 2 days before Halloween. How's that? It is October 29th. It's Wednesday. It's my Friday. I get to go on vacation for a few days. That's what I say. But I do my 3 days, and if you don't like it, too bad. Get used to it. That's all I do. So that's enough. Let me tell you, a lot of work involved. Well, anyway, the shutdown continues. And it looks like Democrats aren't going to do anything. They're just going to go ahead and continue to do what they do, and that's it. But, you know, they're going to continue to make the people suffer. The very people they say they're representing. And they're not happy. But unfortunately, a lot of them are going to take they're going to take it, put it in their own hands. Let's put it that way. And they're going to make sure that they get what they want. They already decided they're going to go in there and they're going to steal. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're just going to do it. But yeah, it just here. Let me show you. This is already starting. This is already starting. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just I'm telling you what. These people are insane. They really are. They just don't stop. You know, the black culture has gone downhill so much. So much. Let me get this all squared away here. And they really they really don't care what they do. As far as they're concerned, they're entitled. See, for them, they're alive and they're having babies and they're entitled. And here's the biggest problem. They're going to have the babies. They have the babies. And the babies are going to be just like them. They're going to be dependent on government. They're going to depend on taxpayers. Let's put it that way. Nothing's going to change. That's why the whole black culture has to change. The ghetto culture has to change. And if you get people like Jasmine Crockett and Ed, you know, they're not helping at all. Not at all. All they are just race baiters. And it just, in fact, I got something really good here. And I'm glad I didn't say it, but this black man says, well, let me just show you here what's going to happen.
I'm out of the store.
Well, and this woman's going to tell you how smart she is. She's going to show you what she stole from the store. You know what gets me about this? They all have phones. They all have internet. They got everything. They got everything. Probably got some big screen TVs at their house. I mean, you know, that's just how it goes. And you may go, oh, no, that's not true. Believe me, I know. I've been there. I've been there. I used to walk when I was a cop. I used to walk. This is a long time ago. You walk in these houses like, God, how can they afford this? But then they'd have this big screen TV and they they have a big TV. This is back then though, and then be plugged into the hallway because their electric would be off. And I mean, there's all kinds of stuff they do, but they find ways of doing what they want to do. So listen to this woman. She's so proud of herself for stealing. She is. She's so proud of herself. So watch this.
Hi, you guys. I'm out of the store. So they wanted $7 for this. Mind you, I don't have food stamps anymore. They cut me off. So I only had $22 left in food stamps. So this is what I stole. Okay. They wanted $9 for this. I said, oh, I don't got $9. Then they wanted Then they wanted $2 for this. They wanted, sorry, it's all fucked up because it's been in my purse. $7 for this. I'm making some stuffed salmon today. These are needed. I'm not paying $7 for that. Okay? Let me show you the most important thing to me.
There you go.
Short ribs. Take off the label so that you don't beep. Get your fucking meat. How many do you think that I got? How many short ribs is that? And can I be real? More y'all bitch ass niggas should have started taking shit from the motherfucking corporations a long time ago. Y'all just didn't.
Now, I want you to look at this woman. Look at the tattoos. She's got that's no big deal there, but dressed pretty decent. Looks like a decent car, the whole thing. But they're entitled. Remember, it's entitled. So let's continue.
Have that shit in your motherfucking bones. Get out there and get in the motherfucking field like I told you. Everything out here is yours. Whether or
Don't forget, she's got kids, and she's teaching her kids. Doesn't she sound like Mother of the Year here?
not you take it, they call that shit free will. I call that shit eminent domain. You know what I'm saying? One thing I learned from the white men, take it! Hey, now! Take it. I don't give a fuck who's already sitting there. I don't give a fuck if your land was already established. Bitch, it's mine now, and I want it. That is what we should be preaching in the land to the fucking masses. Act more like a white man. Take it for yourself, bitch, and you won't be worried about who don't got it. You see what I'm saying? Get out there and radish. Last but not least, go in that church and infiltrate. Don't be stupid. Get in there. Ask them for some rent money. Ask them for some help. You've been tithing. Say your lights is off. You need a stipend. You need some food. Go to the church. Ask for help. If the pastor don't help you out, blast them on social media. Quickest way to fuck up the church's money is ask for some. Go do it. See what you get. Report back to a real bitch. Let me know. If the church doesn't help you after all those tithes you gave, well, go ask for your tithes back. See if they can give you a donation form and they can just redonate your money back to you. See if they can do that. If they can't, I want you to come back under this post and give me the reason why they said they cannot reimburse you back the money you and your family have given to them for years. Also, why they can't help you. Let me know.
Isn't that just pleasant? Doesn't that just make you feel good all over? That's where we've gone, folks. That is exactly where we've gone. Don't ever think. Don't ever think this isn't normal. This is normal. This is what Democrats have it's what they pushed. They teach us crap to each other. They're entitled. See, this is where the victim mentality comes out. I'm a black person, and I'm entitled. That's what it amounts to. But not all black people feel that way. Not all. Listen to this, gentlemen. This will really freak you out. Get this going here. This will really freak you out because you're going to go, damn. You will. I could not have said this. If I did, I'd be called a racist. So, here you go.
Real problem. That's the problem in all ghettos. That's the problem, niggerism, where you got people who have just been, they have dyed in the wool, if you will, against white America, against American structure, and they have no work ethic. You can't get a job. You can build all the jobs you want. You can't make these young boys go to work. They're not going to do it. The schools teach niggerism, and that's why the immigrant problem issue is such a major issue, is because Latinos, Mexicans have not been indoctrinated with niggerism. Niggerism is to let the government take care of you. The government owes you everything. The government owes you a house. It owes you education. It owes you income. It owes you a track phone. It owes you a pair of sneakers. I mean, and this is niggerism. And that's what all the black, the Hamite, if you will, politicians, and progressive, if you will, Japheth politicians, that's what they teach. And niggas have just been beat down to the point where they have no work ethic. Detroit is suffering from a case of niggerism. And $100 million ain't gonna go nowhere except into the hands of all the thieves, the drug dealers, the politicians, and it'll be right back where it started from. Niggerism in Detroit.
Now, I wonder if I'm going to get in trouble for playing that. Hey, if I said that seriously, I'd be in trouble. I've already had it happen. Turn my audio up. Wait. I have my way up and it's still not loud. Okay. Is that better? Let me get here. Is that better, Jim? Don't forget the nails. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I just happened to see that. Yeah, hey, they don't have any money. Is that better? Can everybody hear me okay? Let me turn this up a little. How's that? That's what they do. That's what they teach them. You can hear fine. Okay. But that's what they teach them in the hood. Hey, I'm black. This isn't right. I deserve it because I'm black. I'm a victim. They teach them slightly. Well, she can hear me fine, so I don't know what to tell you there, buddy. Don't know what to tell you. Slightly, okay. Good now. Okay, good. Okay. Good morning, Miss Pat. Pat and Kathy and Jim and a bunch of others that are watching. They're quiet so far this morning. But that's where we are, folks. Understand, this is the black mentality in the ghetto. And that black gentleman called it out. It's funny, but I'll tell you right now. If I talk to another white person who grew up in the city, okay, or in a metro area, there's white trash and there's what the black gentleman said. I'm not even going to say it. And where I came from in St. Louis, the white trash was called Hoosier. That's just what we did. And black trash was called, oh, no, black trash, no, I'm just telling you. People who don't give a damn, they think they're owed everything. It's all theirs. She's nuts, yeah. They both are. You watch this and here's another one. These people. Wait a minute, I got this one here. Let me just show you where it all comes from here, because I just forgot about this. I got this here. I want to show you. This is our favorite lady here who likes to bring reality to things, and I want you to think about this. This is where everything is really screwed up. If this was reversed, what I'm going to show you, you've seen this before with this woman got killed. If it was reversed, in fact, I'll let her say it because this is really, she does it quite well. She actually speaks quite well, and I like using her. So here you go.
Weeks ago, and you didn't hear about it, I will give you 3 guesses as to why. You'll only need one. Irina Zarutska was a Ukrainian refugee living in Charlotte. She got on a train just before 10 p.m. on August 22nd, just trying to get home. And about 4 minutes later, she was murdered by DeCarlos Brown Jr., who stabbed her in the throat from behind with a pocket knife for literally no reason. Whole entire thing was caught on camera. So Brown has been arrested multiple times, including for armed robberies and assaults. Most of those charges were dropped. He was repeatedly released. And now this woman is dead. And unless you were on Twitter over the weekend, you probably had no idea. And we all know why. We're not...
Now, just so you know, this was a couple weeks ago at least. So listen about Daniel Penny, though.
Stupid. You're telling me that Daniel Penny put a violent criminal who was high as a kite in a headlock, and that was news for days, countless panels, hours of coverage, this high-profile trial, all because Daniel Penny was white and Jordan Neely was black, and that is all that mattered. But there was no Daniel Penny on this train, so she gets stabbed in the jugular because she happened to pick a seat in front of a career criminal who should never have been out on the street in the first place, and she bleeds out on a dirty floor, and we don't get a single headline because she was white and he was black, which shouldn't matter, but we all know it does. And you can bet the media would have cared if she had been shot in Ukraine by a Russian, but she comes to the United States and gets stabbed by a black man with a perpetual get-out-of-jail-free card. Crickets. The leftist media cannot talk about black crime because that's racist. They can't talk about the criminal element taking over our cities because that might mean Donald Trump is right for trying to get it under control. So now this woman is dead. Her killer is behind bars for however long that sticks. Our cities are still being run by criminals, and around and around and around we go. So a woman was randomly stabbed.
And she's right. Jim says, don't doubt that lots of white people have heard about the shoplifting allowances in California, have begun slipping a few things past the self-checkout. You know, okay, let's put it this way. It's mainly, I'll tell you right now, it's mainly in the black culture, but the whites do too. Don't get me wrong. I know they do. I grew up with it. But the black culture they're entitled. They are entitled. I deal with the white, and they think they're entitled too, but it's even worse with the black. It just is because they're running around as victims. And that's just it. And I understand what you're saying. But it's just too much. But yeah, why don't they mention color in the news? Because that's racist. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's not right. It's racist. You can't do that. But SNAP, which is basically EBT. These people live on this. They have their. I want you to look at this woman here. And same thing. And they are entitled. This is what the Democrats have done. These people are entitled. So watch this entitlement attitude.
Have not eaten in 5 days. It is the taxpayer's responsibility to take care of my kids.
Trump done cut them food stamps off.
If you're poor, don't have kids, okay? If you're struggling, don't have kids. Don't bring more in. If you already have them, that's another situation. If you don't have them, don't bring any in. And if you have two, don't go having another one. If you have one, don't go having two more.
So they say 2 million is getting cut off this month for the scamps. I'm about to go find out if I'm in that number, in that ratio.
It's been day 5 and I have not received no food stamps. My disability checks is on hold. My cash benefits is not coming no more. They're still pending. It is the taxpayer's job to pay for my kids to eat and for my kids to be taken care of. I have over 2,000 followers on TikTok and I can't get not one person to send me 50 cents. If you're watching a video and you can't send me nothing, I'm blocking you.
You know, people are out here scrambling, asking, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Take your butt to work.
He's right. Take your butt to work. We don't want to do that, though. If we work, then she won't have time for the internet. For you notice they all have these accounts on the internet and stuff. They all have the accounts. That's how it works. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted here. Darn it. Okay, well, let's go here then. Darn it, I messed it up. Let me see if that's right. Do it again here. Oh. Yep, I messed up on that one. Anyway, I got one with Senator Mullen here, and I'll find it. But, the thing that's been said, which is true. I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't solve things, but for a few congressmen and senators, they don't have any money. They don't have any money. And because of that, You think they want the shutdown? Hell no, they don't want the shutdown. Shutdown's not good. Shutdown, they can't afford it. Well, I have to go along with what a lot of people are saying, though. It's like paychecks should stop. Now, most of the senators and congressmen, they don't care. They got money coming in from other sources, no doubt about it. But John Thune, who has actually been decent, we don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes, but he's been decent about things. But let's just hear what John Thune has to say when it comes to when it comes to this shutdown and what Democrats are saying. I found this so fun. So, all right, here we go.
Should refuse to take their paychecks during a shutdown. And what did the senior Democrat senator from Vermont say? He said that some members of Congress couldn't afford to go without pay. Does he think that other Americans can? The junior Democrat senator from Arizona told NBC News near the beginning of the shutdown that he couldn't afford to miss his paycheck. This was his quote: "I'm not wealthy, and I have 3 kids. I would basically be missing, mortgage payments, rent payments, child support. So it's not feasible, not going to happen," end quote. Does he think they don't have mortgage payments, rent payments, school expenses, electric bills? The junior Democrat senator from Minnesota stated that she would not be foregoing her pay because she's continuing to work. Because she's continuing to work. Do Democrats even hear themselves?
I don't think they do. They obviously don't hear themselves. And I have to give Republicans credit for sticking with it, because before they used to cave. They're not caving anymore. That's what I love about it. They're not caving. It's about time they stop caving. So I got to give them credit. It's really nice when they do that. So, John Thune, good for you. Maybe this is it. Maybe this, or is it? Let me see. See if I messed up here. Nope. Wrong one. Okay. Anyway, it's really. I mean, I don't know what you do with this. You've taught so many people. The schools. Always get schools every day. The schools have taught people that they teach white kids in schools. They do this all the time in schools. This is why we got to take our schools back. They teach white kids in school that you should feel guilty for being white. They're not caving because they have Trump. Yeah, you know what? Trump is saying, no, just deal with it. Trump has got, look, did you see him yesterday with the Japanese prime minister? The new person running Japan, woman. He was applauding, and she was as happy as could be. She's working with Trump, and she's saying, this is great. And it's just really interesting because there's so much going on here with, sorry, I'm doing 10 things at once here. Looking for something I had earlier, and obviously I messed up. But anyway, it's just too much. And I had it here. Darn it. Well, whatever. I can't believe I made a mistake. That's the first time this year. Oh, anyway. All right, let's there's all kinds of stuff here. But remember, Democrats have always been like this, right? I don't think so. Because Democrats, in fact, you know who, used to say things differently. I want you to listen to this. Gave him trees. What? They gave him trees. I'm not sure what you mean. You probably, anyway. But listen to this. This is quite amusing. Here you go.
Out of this reckless and damaging shutdown, pass a budget that funds our government with no partisan strings attached. The American people don't get to demand ransom in exchange for doing their job. Neither does Congress. They don't get to hold our democracy or our economy hostage over a settled law. That's not how our democracy is supposed to work. That's why I won't pay a ransom in exchange for reopening the government. I'll always work with anyone of either party on ways to grow this economy, create new jobs.
The thing is, you won't believe who said this. I'll continue. Well,
but not under the shadow of these threats, unquote. What I just read was a direct quote. Those are not my words. They belong to President Barack Obama. He was speaking there in 2013 when our government was shut down for 16 days.
all those things have changed, though, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, it's not a crime. It's not a crime if Democrats do it. They're freaking out, though. They are, because they know that next year's election, they're going to get their asses handed to them. You know what gets me as I watch these. Oh my God, I got to show this. I watch these clowns. Where is it here? I watch these clowns who are going after Republicans, and it just is not what you think it is. And where is it here? Obama. Yeah, he scolded. Oh, and remember, if you did not vote for Winsome Sears, if you did not vote for Kamala, you black people were racist. You had to vote for that. You had to vote for that black woman. Her name was Kamala Harris. Oh, I see. In Japan, as a gift, they give America 250 cherry trees. It just. But here, this is quite interesting, though, because I love having black people doing this because it takes away the fact that somebody can look at my show and say, well, you're racist, Dave. You're playing this because you're a racist. Well, guess what? It's your people, as you would like to say. Oh, and of course, it's different now. But they don't want to vote for Winsome Sears. Now, I think it's going to be a night. Actually, some people are saying Winsome Sears is ahead. I would imagine my friend Jim is going to vote for Winsome Sears. I'm sure he is. But running against a racist Spanberger. She's a racist. Winsome Sears, what's her qualifications? Winsome Sears was in the Marines. She's got quite a resume. But, look at her opponent. Oh, she was in Congress. Just means she was, never mind. But let's listen to the gentleman here.
To Virginia, I'm going to try to be serious for a minute. If you all haven't heard by now, the NAACP has endorsed Abigail Spanberger to run against Winsome Earl Sears for governor of Virginia. Nothing screams progress for people of color like watching the same crowd that preaches representation matters suddenly go full Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles when the representation has an R next to her name. Funny how that shit works, huh? Winsome Earl Sears, black, female, immigrant, Marine, success story, but nah, it doesn't fit the approved narrative. Apparently she's the wrong kind of black. Because we all know being a strong, independent, educated, conservative woman means you've been brainwashed by the patriarchy, right? And the same people who quote Malcolm X like it's scripture conveniently ignore the part where he said that there's nothing more dangerous to a black man than a white liberal. But they're out here acting like Spanberger is the second coming of MLK just because she checks the right political box. I guess diversity only counts when it votes blue. And representation only matters when it agrees with your Twitter feed. The same people screaming black women deserve a seat at the table are suddenly flipping the fucking table when the black woman sitting there happens to be a gun-owning, God-fearing, small government Marine who earned everything she's got without needing a single social movement to hold her hand. Apparently that's the wrong kind of empowerment. Let's empower some facts real quick. Winsome's the first black woman elected statewide in Virginia. That's history, not a headline. And yet CNN will give her less airtime than a weather report between cats. And Spanberger will get front page worship for saying the exact same cookie cutter bullshit talking points. Same as Mamdani, same as AOC, and every other DC robot before them. Believe in democracy, we need unity. They've all been in Washington long enough to know that unity only exists when everyone agrees with them. And it's funny how when Winsome talks about lifting people through personal responsibility and opportunity, she's pushing white conservative ideals. But when a white liberal tells minorities they'll never make it without government training wheels, that's called compassion. Nope. That's keep them in the hood. Victimhood. Funny how the party of listen to black voices suddenly needs subtitles when that voice says something that they don't like. These folks don't care about color, culture, or character. They care about compliance. They'll cheer on a drag queen story hour before they'll ever clap for a black conservative woman who served her country. They'll hashtag representation all day long until that representation steps off that plantation. Winsome is living proof that the system isn't what's holding anyone back. The narrative is. The same crowd that screams trust black women turns into political exorcist the second one votes Republican. So Malcolm X wasn't lying. The most dangerous thing to the progress of black Americans ain't the conservative. It's the liberal who smiles in your face while quietly telling you to stay in your place.
It's a liberal that wants you to continue being a slave. And that's what these people are. You watch these people. Now I showed you a bunch of black people, who are playing victim and all that stuff. But what you got to understand is that this is what they've been taught by the left. You are a victim. You are a victim. And it's so sad to watch that happen. It's so sad. You watch the left, and they just, we feel bad for you. And I remember I've talked about this before. Give us a link. Okay, let me get this real quick here. We can bring it back up real quick. Okay, where was I here? Where was I? Give me a second here. I'll tell you what. I'll do it after I'm going to play. This is one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen. And this is Lawrence O'Donnell going after somebody. Watch this. Going after Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is the gentleman who's on the panels all the time on CNN, actually talking really good. Let me find it here. Anyway, listen to Jennings. Listen to Jennings. Listen to Scott. I've never seen anything like this on TV ever. But when you see this, you're going to go, "Wow, this guy's really hurting." Watch this now.
And now CNN eagerly pays a Trump supporter to lie on CNN every day and night for Donald Trump. CNN did this during the first Trump presidential campaign and presidency. CNN regularly paid Trump supporters to lie about Trump on CNN, but the CNN regime then realized that was a mistake. And they stopped doing it. They stopped paying for lies. But then CNN got a new head. The head of CNN for the last 3 years, hired by the Trump-supporting owner and operator of CNN, is an Englishman who thinks paying Scott Jennings to lie about Donald Trump is money very well spent. Scott Jennings, who used to be an aide to Senator Mitch McConnell, was not always a rabid, lying Trump supporter. When he first started appearing on television, he was capable of criticizing some of the more extreme Trump positions, but Scott Jennings figured out where the money is and how he could get his own podcast and decided to become the J.D. Vance of CNN. Here's how bad that television is that they make over there. The show that Scott Jennings frequents the most is on opposite this program. And that show, on a good night, gets half of the audience of this show. This program usually has an audience triple the size of the terrible, terrible television that Scott Jennings is delivering on the absurdly degraded version of CNN, presided over by the man who thinks lying for Donald Trump on TV is an honorable pursuit and should be paid for by CNN.
Is that guy jealous or what? I've never seen anything like that. So, according to him, Trump is there because he's lying. That's exactly what he just said. It's unbelievable. That's exactly what he said. Now, why didn't they go over there? Anyway, yeah, it just, folks, you can't make this stuff up. This is what they do. This is what they do, and they will not stop because they have an agenda, and right now their agenda is they have to make sure that they come up with. They know. I think they already know they're going to get their asses kicked next year, because Trump. I'm telling you, Trump has a plan for next year. He's going to make sure the votes are correct. Never going to be perfect, but the voter fraud is pretty much gone. He's going to be there's so much of this going on. And Trump is just making sure that there's going to be a big influx of Republicans that are going to win next year. This is all planned, believe me. And that's why the Epstein thing, when I keep saying, it's really interesting because when you're on there, you even see that. Yeah, nearly every leftist knows that Trump lies. Yeah, you know what, though? If you ask them, they can't name anything. What's he lied about? You know what he lied about. No, I'd like to know. You know what he lied about. Okay, whatever. And I showed you that yesterday, or Dave, I think it was yesterday, where the woman said, I've never heard Democrats call Trump a fascist or a Hitler. It's just, everybody that watches, anybody that pays attention knows that happens all the time. That's what they do. They lie all the time. So, folks, I'll tell you, we better get used to it because this is what's going to happen. But I think what's going to happen, though, I think in the next few days you're going to see something change dramatically when it comes to the shutdown. The shutdown will change, and when it does change, you're going to find out what happens, and it's going to be interesting. Now there's an article put out there about the polls. What's going to happen now? Now the Democrats are upset. They're upset because Trump is making sure, and I showed this to you yesterday because at a lot of the polls in some of these states like California, New York, and Illinois, they're going to have poll watchers there. Well, they're not needed. The Democrats are freaking out. It's not needed. Of course it's needed. We know it is. So do you think they should be? You think they should be stationed at the polls to stop illegals from casting votes? The ICE is going to be, that's what they're trying to do. ICE is going to be at a lot of the polling places. So here's what's going to happen. I don't know how many polling places ICE can be at, but that's where they're going to be that day. And just to have one or two there, of course, then you got the nutcase lefties. So it's going to be really interesting. I guess you have to have National Guard there, too. It's just, the Democrats are going to do everything they can to cheat, which is what they're best at. That's what they do well. Oh, good God. I'm telling you, it never stops. It never stops. So hopefully, people will finally get it and say, wait a minute, I'm going to make sure I vote. I make sure we take the schools over. I'm going to make sure of all that stuff. But do you think they're doing well? By the way, I'm talking about voting here. Argentina with Milei. Milei is Trump's friend. And the $40 billion isn't a get. Let me tell you something about Trump, which I'm sick to death of people. Anytime Trump makes a deal with somebody, there's always a deal for us. It's not just one way. And people have to start knowing that because he doesn't make a deal just to satisfy the other side. When he made deals with Ukraine, he said, we want the rare earth minerals. Did you ever hear Biden say that? Hell no. Biden's like, here's the money. Do what you want with it. But I still can't believe this guy's got his job.
The analyst.
How do you think he's doing? How do you think Trump's doing throughout this shutdown? Now you hear the left, and they're of course they call him they're going at, and here's what gets me: Trump doesn't have anything to do with this right now. But it's always Trump because that's the best way. Trump is the bad guy. So let's just say Trump. But right now it's up to the Senate. Trump has nothing to do with it. He can't do anything. It's up to the Senate to say, hey, we're going to go ahead and pass this. They got a few Democrats doing it. A few Republicans, I'm not too happy with some of them. And look, I like Rand Paul, but he's going off the deep end lately. He needs a wake-up call. I don't think he's a loss, but he's really. And of course, you get the people that they don't like Trump, and they call themselves independents. You know, some of these libertarian dumbasses that never going to get anything done. I remember many years ago, I was interviewing somebody running for, for Congress in Springfield, Missouri area, and when I was talking to him, you know, I said, I got a question. Can't think of his name offhand, but I said, I got a question. You sound like you're a Republican. Well, I am pretty much. I said, why don't you run as a Republican? And because of where you are, you'll have a much better chance of winning. Well, I can't do that. I said, why? Yeah, I know. I'll get there in a second. I said, why? He says, well, because I'm libertarian. I said, but you'll never win as a libertarian if you went ahead and ran as a Republican, because you sound very Republican. Because even Ronald Reagan said libertarian is the base of a Republican side without the nut cases, the nut stuff. Crazy. Well, Texas says Republicans only have 52 votes. Got to have Democrats as well. Plus, most people don't find illegal health care and SNAP. Well, here's the issue. I think when they have a vote to open it back up. The votes they've had lately are not that. It's other things. But I think when they open it back up, I do believe the Republicans will jump back on board. It's, you know, and it is wrong. Some of the Republicans, they got a couple, you know, stray ones out there. Rand Paul's one of them. Rand better get his act together and say, you know what? We got to stop this. We got to stop this. By the way, the continuing resolution is the same thing that has been voted on many times. It's clean. You go straight through it. It funds government. That's what it's done. There's nothing in it political as far as, you know, one side has something, and that's not working for them this time. And do you hear the media on the mainstream media talk about? Hell no. So let's just see just how good Republicans are doing on numbers, especially Trump. So here you go.
Harry, we saw the troops. We've talked about air traffic controllers. Not clear their pain will end the shutdown. One thing that might end a shutdown is political pain if parties start to feel that it's hurting them. So let's talk about that, starting with Republicans. How has the shutdown seemed to have affected their political standing?
Yeah, you might think, given that the Republicans are in charge of both the House and the Senate, that a government shutdown might actually hurt the Republican brand. But in fact, it hasn't. If anything, it's been helped a little bit. Take a look here, the shift in net popularity versus pre-shutdown. When we're looking at the Republican Party overall, that brand actually up 2 points. That's within the margin of error, but clearly it hasn't dropped. Come over to this side of the screen. Look at the net approval ratings for Republicans in Congress. It's actually up 5 points since pre-shutdown. So what we're seeing here is the Republican brand in Congress has actually improved somewhat compared to where we were pre-shutdown, despite the fact that Republicans control. And that's the math that John Thune and Mike Johnson are looking at is, well, hey, why should we give, and electorally speaking, when our brand has actually improved a little bit?
Now, we say their position is getting better. With whom?
Yeah, okay, with whom? So I think it's two groups that it's so important to keep an eye out on. All right, changing the Republican Congress's net approval rating versus pre-shutdown. It's rallying the base for sure. Look at this, the net approval rating up 12 points versus pre-shutdown. But it's not just with the base. It's also with the middle of the electorate. Look at this, among independents, it's up 8 points as well. So we've got a situation here where Republicans with this shutdown are actually rallying their base, but it's also something that's not hurting them with the folks in the middle. If anything, it's helping them with folks in the middle. And this is the type of math that if you're Republicans, you like to see, right? Because something could rally the base but alienate those in the middle, or something could rally those in the middle but alienate the base. But the truth is, we're not seeing that. What we're seeing is the Republican brand has actually gotten better among independents, and it's also gotten better among Republicans as well, that Republican brand when it comes to those in Congress. So again, what's the electoral reason that Republicans would give in at this point?
And Democrats, of course, they have their eyes on the midterm elections. Yeah, we have elections 1 week from today, but what Democrats in Congress are mostly focused on are 1 year and 1 week from today from the midterm. So how are they positioned right now?
Yeah, so I mean, look, the generic congressional ballot, which traditionally Democrats have done really well on, and if you look at this point back when Trump was president the first time around, Democrats are up 11 points. Look at where it is now. Democrats are ahead, but they're actually only up 3 points. This is, in fact, the worst position Democrats have been on in a generic ballot at this point in midterm when there was a Republican president in the last 20 years. And this is no different from pre-shutdown. So Republicans aren't losing on this metric either. They become more popular, and they're actually in a pretty good position for them historically when it comes to the generic congressional ballot.
This is a concerning number for Democrats, would you say, in Congress?
This is a concerning number for Democrats because it's considerably worse than they traditionally do in midterm elections when there's a Republican president.
Harry Etten.
Wouldn't that be terrible? Democrats are imploding, which I'm glad. I'm glad it happens. They're imploding. They just look awful. They look weak. They look ridiculous. Isn't that terrible? I love it. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Where is it here? They got their stars. They got their stars, and all they can do is spend their time, and this is someone that's a presidential hopeful. Oh my God, here's what I will say. AOC is a presidential hopeful, and she went after Riley Gaines. I mean, Riley Gaines is out there standing up for women, which is not something that AOC's doing. She's not standing up for women, not at all. And it cracks me up. It just cracks me up. So Riley Gaines was on Laura Ingraham here and had a few things to say about good old AOC. AOC acts like she's she's actually at one of the people at the top of the list for running for president. That shows you how bad they are right now. I think it ought to be AOC and Jasmine Crockett. And then you got, and I got a story of him too. Then you got California Governor Newsom, who's destroying his own state right in front of our very eyes, and he thinks he's got a chance at president. And Democrats don't care. Democrats they're nonstop. They really are. So listen to Riley. Riley, I have so much respect for Riley. So here we go.
I want to honestly challenge AOC to a debate. She can defend socialism. I will defend capitalism. She can defend removing God. I will defend embracing a biblical worldview. She can defend child sacrifice. I will defend the sanctity of life. Any of the radical, insane Democratic policies and platform that they stand for, I will debate the opposite. I'm challenging AOC to it here.
I thought you were going to challenge her to like a freestyle, 100 freestyle or something. I'm like, that's too. That's an unfair fight. Or
a fair fight to her is putting a man in the pool.
Yeah, no, you can wear like 100-pound weight and challenge her to it. That would be fair, actually. Mark and Riley, both of you, thank you so much.
There's so many good people on our side of the aisle right now. Good and decent people. On the left, all they can do is talk nasty about the president. All Republicans, remember, we're all deplorables. Remember that. We're all just terrible. We don't care about other people. That's what they try to tell us. And then we get these people who aren't going to get their. I don't even want to call them benefits. They're not benefits. I guess they benefit them, but. Well, at least they're not entitlements, but they're getting this as though they own this. That's mine. That's what they're trying to say. That's the problem when you give stuff away. It's not appreciated. I've been talking about this for years. I grew up with this crap. They don't care. It's all about me, 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 me. I'll go ahead and do what I want. Don't expect me to work 15 or 20 hours a month, whatever they want. I got stuff to do on TikTok. They got money for that. They got money for the nails, as Kathy said. They got money for all the rest of stuff. But they don't have money for food. And remember, I'll tell you this every day. A lot of those people take those cards, they sell them for 50 cents on the dollar, your money, your tax money, and then they run to the food banks. I don't understand the idea for food banks in many ways because most people get a check. I mean, that's the problem we got. We have so many people living off the government, it's not even funny. Living off taxpayers, not government. The government doesn't have money except for what we have and what your kids are going to have. That's where they are. And we just let it happen, folks. I don't want it to happen anymore. I just, and right now they're complaining about the ballroom. Remember the good old ballroom that, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. Well, guess what? It's something. In fact, I'm gonna let this woman talk about it a little bit, but then we're gonna have Donald Trump talk about the ballroom. So let's listen first and hear what she says, and then you get to hear about the ballroom.
Let's bust this narrative, shall we? You see that building hidden all the way in the back there?
Hold on one second.
All right, let's bust this narrative, shall we? You see that?
Hold on. All right, here we go. Sorry about this.
All right, let's bust this narrative, shall we? You see that building hidden all the way in the back there? That's what you traditionally know as the White House. See this map right here? This is the White House. This is the building that they're opening up for the ballroom. White House, future ballroom. He's renovating an office building that was completely reconstructed about 80 years ago, which was only built after demolishing Edith Roosevelt's Colonial Gardens, by the way. And he's building an event space that the White House so desperately needs. Also, the Obama administration added an indoor basketball court and dug up the entire front lawn of the White House for 4 years, and it cost $400 million taxpayer dollars. And the media didn't say a freaking word.
Sounds like they're building another wing to the White House.
But, at least it's nice to see they've gotten real concerned with preserving historical structures built by old white men. Didn't think we could do that anymore. All right, let's bust this narrative, shall we? You see that building hidden all the way in the back there?
That just goes to show you what we're dealing with here. And the media is running with them all the way. But here's a little tidbit I didn't know about. And actually, President Trump's going to tell you about it. Didn't know about this, but you will find this really interesting. Because Mr. Trump actually has a little bit more to do with that ballroom than you think. He's thought about this for a while. And finally, when he's president, he's doing it. So, back to the beginning here. So listen to President Trump here. Really interesting.
Every time the top people come over from China, they're getting these big, beautiful, they put a tent on the White House. We don't have a ballroom at the White House. I offered, by the way, Jerry, years ago to build a ballroom at the White House, free of charge, $100 million ballroom. I said, we'll get the top 5 architects in America. We'll get the top people, top everything. We'll have the best ballroom, because I noticed they always put tents up on the lawn. Number one, it's not a good security thing. Number two, the guy that owns the tents is making a fortune, okay? This poor guy, he's making so much money. All he needs is one tent, and he charges them so much, he's making a fortune. All right. But I said, I will build a ballroom. I gave it to the Obama. I actually told David Axelrod, a good guy, very capable guy. I told David Axelrod, David, I will build a ballroom free of charge, at least $100 million. We'll make it the finest ballroom in the world. We'll put it someplace so it works contextually, magnificently. It'll be done. We'll have committees set up. I never heard back. It's, it's just one of just thousands of things. If someone's going to give me a free ballroom, I'm going to take it. We'll put it in an area that'll look great. But, we don't have a ballroom at the White House. So every time the top people come over from China, they're getting these.
And you know what's bizarre about all that? Is that the ballroom is needed. You've got supposedly the greatest country in the world. You got a small ballroom. I think it holds 200 people. It's old. It just wasn't. Anyway, bottom line is you go to all these other countries, they got all these great. United States, hey, come and get in our tent. You know what? We run this like a ghetto. And we have people run our country like a ghetto. And it just, I don't know about you, but I'm embarrassed by it. I really am. You got this. You got one of the greatest countries on the planet, and you don't even have a decent ballroom. People come over. It's unbelievable. But I don't know. Now, what do we have? I was thinking about this yesterday too. 24 years ago, on 9/11, we had Muslims, terrorist Muslims, along with our government, people, not our government necessarily, people in our government, who helped with 9/11 to bring down the Twin Towers. And as time goes on, you will find out, people, you are going to find out that it was the biggest farce ever pulled on the American public, ever. And the people responsible are people you would never expect. And I've been watching Tucker Carlson a little bit. He's going to come up with I don't know if it's a series or what, but some of the things I've read, and there's people that know things and they won't say anything. It's going to come out. But our own people had something to do with all these people dying. I keep telling you people, you think, well, it's exchange of ideas. It's not. It is rude and crude, and they will absolutely destroy you if you say something. And let me tell you something. The people that died on 9/11, don't ever think there's one tear for any of them from some of the people involved. It's collateral damage. Hey, they'll go to heaven. Whatever. They'll go. All I know is they're out of here. We don't have to worry about them. And so here you got these terrorist Muslims with our government. Let's just say terrorist Muslims right now, because they did have something to do with it. Not necessarily the way we're told, but they had something to do with it. And right now, and by the way, when Barack Hussein Obama was elected, I never thought he'd be elected. He had the middle name Hussein. He was elected. Now, fast forward from 9/11, 24 years later, they're going to elect a Muslim. And it's all about free stuff. This is where schools come in. I'm telling you, I know what the hell I'm talking about. They have totally brainwashed people along with the media. They've totally brainwashed these people and said, hey, free stuff. Don't worry. And they've told them. And I hear this too, the big, beautiful bill. Well, they gave all those billionaires tax breaks. Really? Every time they say that, I say, could you point that out to me? I'd like to know more about that because I'm not sure. Never, ever do I get an answer. Because the one thing about the left especially is they don't do any research. They just parrot what they're told to say. They continue to say it over and over and over. Nothing changes. Folks, it's scary as hell. It really is. I'm going to do two of them today. Because I think this needs to be done. I like what Red Skelton does with the Pledge of Allegiance. Because I will tell you right now, I'm a little different than most. When I say the Pledge of Allegiance, I have tears in my eyes. When I sing the national anthem, I have tears in my eyes. That's how much it means to me. It should mean that much to you. So let's hear how much it means to Red Skelton. Yeah, how much does it mean?
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the seventh grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer, I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher, he was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell, and he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the Republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance. Under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that as a prayer and that could be eliminated from schools too?
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again, just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. The man who died, who gave that right to me, and I'm glad to stand up next to you, and if it hurts still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I still stand. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say.
Got to turn my microphone on. All righty. That was good. That was good. I'm proud of myself for that one. All righty. Where are we? All right. Hey, anybody want any free stuff? It's coming. It's coming, yeah. What if we all did that? What if we all just said, the hell with work and I don't care anymore. I just want rich people to take care of me. I don't know about you people. I have no desire for anyone else's money. Never have, never will. And I know it makes me bad. I've had a couple yes, no, I don't want anything from anybody else. I never have, never did, never will. When I run out of money, I run out of money and I find something else. But I won't because I work no matter what. It's just where I am. So I never give up. But I'm going to tell you something. In New York, let's talk about New York just for a little bit here. In New York, as we know, a communist may get elected. Cuomo already gave himself a bad name. Sliwa, he's not really. I mean, he would be better than the other two, but nobody really strong ran against him, and it really makes me wonder about that. It really does. But I'll tell you what, I like Rob Schmidt of Newsmax, and let me get this ready here. I like Rob Schmidt of Newsmax. Well, here's a report he's got here. What do I do here? Let me sure I got it here.
No spin.
Oh.
Turn to us.
Somewhere in went to end. So hold on 1 second here. Okay, here's Rob. Here you go. Okay, ready here? Here we go.
Such an easy vehicle to power, right? You deserve free stuff. Somebody else is going to pay for it. Mamdani wants free buses, city subsidized and run grocery stores, doubling the minimum wage. He plans to freeze the rent on more than 2 million rent-controlled and rent-stabilized homes in the city. And it all seems so easy. Communists see a big pile of capitalist wealth they did not create, like New York's. They can't wait to seize and redistribute it as they see fit, and they don't care if the money runs out. If Zoran checks off all the boxes on his list, the buses will become overcrowded, filthy homeless camps that nobody can get on. Non-chain grocery stores will disappear, creating inner-city food deserts. Hundreds of thousands more rent-controlled properties will come off the market, sending rents straight through the roof, even higher, and small businesses, of course, will go bust in record numbers. That will be the legacy of this man if he's able to get these things done. Everybody's reporting this.
Think about it. That's what they're going to do. I mean, how can anybody with any brains, and this, I'll go back to schools again, when you teach the people that socialism is going to work, and a lot of young people, that's one reason they killed Charlie Kirk, because he was teaching them, no, get married, do the things traditional America is all about. Have a God, go to church. He's just trying to make it a very wonderful, clean life where people work for things. Moms can stay home and raise the kids, and you don't have to worry about the schools destroying your children. God knows, conservatives don't care. Oh, yeah, we do. No, you don't. Until you start showing me, I just the way it is. I get really frustrated with it because I've been there. Linda, you know what I'm talking about. It gets old. But, the shutdowns here. And the pressure is on the Democrats, no doubt about it, because I think people are starting to understand, and even like the polls showed you, that I showed you earlier, the polls are showing that it's not working well for the Democrats right now. Their party is dwindling. A lot of people who are Democrats say, I'm not Democrat. I'm not voting with these people anymore because they know they've gone over the top. They have allowed the extreme leftists to run their party. Where's everybody else? But here's part of the problem. The extreme leftists will go out and do anything and everything. They will do that. We don't do that. That's why we have to change what we're doing. We have to go out and do something different. So anyway, the unions are finally starting to say, open it back up. Open it back up.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very dramatic.
Because they know what's happening. They know that it's not going to be good. And they know they're losing their popularity. And, you know, the unions, a lot of the unions even know that President Trump is actually bringing jobs back. But I'm beginning to wonder, jobs are there. They're going to be there because they got trillions of dollars coming in from companies. Hundreds of billions, maybe trillions. Companies are going to build here. They're going to build cars here again, all that stuff. They're going to have them here. But anyway, listen about the unions here because they're losing their patience. Here you go.
Call from that union of federal employees representing hundreds of thousands with a statement today saying, among other things, that it's time for our leaders to start focusing on how to solve problems for the American people rather than on who is going to get the blame for a shutdown that Americans dislike. Because when the folks who serve this country are standing in line for food banks after missing a second paycheck because of this shutdown, they aren't looking for partisan spin. They're looking for wages that they earned. They go on to essentially say that Congress needs to pass, in their view, a clean CR. Now, when Speaker Mike Johnson was asked about this today, he certainly kind of leaned into this. In fact, we saw several top Republicans on the House side take advantage of this statement and basically point to it, saying, Democrats, the ball is in your court now, whether or not you decide to act on this. Johnson saying, I certainly hope this is a turning point in the shutdown, noting that this is a union, after all, that is weighing in this sort of way and saying that this shutdown is a charade. Now, of course, at the same time, I have in recent weeks spoken to Democrats representing districts with heavy populations of federal employees, and their message that they say they've been receiving from federal workers was keep up the fight, that health care is the fight worth having, that it is an important time to push back on the Trump administration. Of course, as this continues to drag out, as we see federal employees now missing paychecks, will that start to change? We shall see this week when lawmakers start to return. The Senate comes in this afternoon. They're expected at some point this week to vote again on that CR to reopen the government. And members of the House Democratic Caucus are going to be here as well, so we'll be polling them too.
Well, and it's going to change. Senate's coming in.
Women, there's one for guys.
It's going to change. And that's a good thing. That is the good thing. But Democrats are still a mess. And I'm really concerned about what's going to happen in New York. Now, I know my friend Jim says, let it go, let them die on their own. But they're not going to have any tax money because a lot of the super rich are moving to Florida. Florida's, I'll tell you what, where I live here, so many people are moving in this area. I mean, every part of Florida, but this area in particular, they're building house after house after house. I mean, it's unbelievable. And by the way, Ron DeSantis wants to put on the ballot to rid ourselves of real estate taxes. And you know what gets me? I can't believe how many people say, but we got to have that tax. Stop it. You buy a house and all of a sudden they appraise it and they go, well, the house, you bought it for $50,000 and so much, it's worth $200,000 now. Now you got to triple your taxes or quadruple your taxes, whatever it is. And people, well, we got to do it. We got to have this and got to have that. You know what? Things can be funded in so many different ways, but we're so used to all these taxes. I think it would be phenomenal. What do you think? I think it'd be phenomenal if they stop taxing. What, everybody on Rumble quit? I know, it's like the chat room just stopped. And sometimes I don't know what to do. So anyway, but Democrats are blaming this on Trump, which is really quite interesting. How do you blame it on Trump when Trump just, as they said, hey, we just want a clean CR, continuing resolution, as we've done time after time after time, and it's the same one that the guy named Chuck Schumer had passed and written and talked about. That's what he's done. Oh, good. MSNBC here is going to talk about the face of the shutdown. Hungry kids are about to become the new face of the shutdown. Let's get all the crybaby stories going. We got to have all the crybaby stories. We can't do this. We can't blame it on your side. But no. Trump is the one to blame because he's president. That's what they say. And the media, the media doesn't report anything. They report what they want. The media is not the media anymore. They are an arm of the Democrat Party, as you know, and they're not going to report the truth. Why would they report the truth? They don't have to. They don't have anybody checking them out. It's sad. It really is sad. But oh well, that's just what they do on their side, and I don't know, folks. That's just what they do. So let's do a little bit here. And where'd it go here? Do. Good morning, Mr. Joe. Lurking and working. Say that 3 times in a row. That. Or that 3 times in a row. There you go. That was what I used to do. All right, where'd I go with this? All right, here, let's just do this. I got different ways of doing things this time. It's pretty cool, actually. No, I can't do it there. Can I? Let's do this and see how it works out here. Pretty cool stuff, what I'm doing here. All right,
are required.
Okay, let's listen to the Speaker of the House here talk about these things. Here we go.
To open the government. They keep saying Republicans are in charge of government. We aren't. Not in the Senate. 60 votes control the Senate, not a bare majority. And so point number 1, Democrat votes are required to open the government. Point the Democrats are required to open the government. They keep saying Republicans are in charge of government. We aren't. Not in the Senate. 60 votes.
And he's right. As I said, it's Republicans that are waiting for Democrats to join in. Well, they should negotiate. Why should they negotiate? You did one before. You had Obama. I mean, your hero for you Democrats. You had your hero out there to say, no. We need to we shouldn't ever have the shutdown, whatever. And he said it. What happened? Joe working and lurking today. Joe's out picking dead bodies up. Oh, no, he's a hard worker. Anyway, but I'm fascinated in a way, though, that we have so many people, let me get this here, that are going to vote, right here. In small elections, illegal aliens are already allowed to vote. In larger statewide elections, such as gubernatorial races, citizenship is verified through an affidavit system, essentially an honor system. Now, good old California governor who wants to run the United States, that would be a travesty. Anyway, has signed a bill into law that will allow illegal aliens to oversee the elections. Why do we have criminals run the courts now? Well, they are to some extent. Why don't we have criminals just be the jury? Seriously. But he signed it. No, it's not a myth. The legislation makes elections more secure. How does that happen? We don't want illegals shouldn't be voting, but we want them making sure they don't. Are there any more dead bodies? Yeah, probably. In July 2018, San Francisco began allowing non-citizens, including those without legal status, to register and vote in local school board elections. The measure approved by voters in 2016 referendum permits only parents, legal guardians, or caregivers of children under 19 to vote in school board races. That's how it starts, ladies and gentlemen. They're not even legally here. My God, what's wrong with these people? The program is set to expire 2022 unless renewed, was justified by supporters who noted that about 1/3 of children in San Francisco's public system have foreign-born parents. Illegals. Opponents, including Republican officials, argued that voting should remain an exclusive right of citizens. Newly eligible voters must use a separate registration form warning that their information may be shared with U.S. Immigration Customs. They don't want that. That's like saying we want the dead bodies. You know, remember the biggest, one of the biggest voting parts of the Democrat Party are dead bodies from cemeteries, dead people. Can't tell you, I've already told you this. When you die, you will be voting Democrat. That's just a fact of life. They've got it down to a science. Opponents, including Republican officials, argue that voting should remain an exclusive right of citizens. As I said, similar initiatives exist in other U.S. municipalities. In Tacoma Park, Maryland, has allowed non-citizen voting for nearly 2 decades, and several neighboring communities have adopted comparable. They're not citizens. When trying people for illegal entry, the jury should be illegal aliens. They are the peers. Yeah. Yeah, you're right there. You'd be surprised between hospitals, nursing homes, and at their house. Let me tell you right now. I don't think a lot of people know this. I'm glad you brought it up, Joe. There are a lot of nursing homes in our country because a lot of us are getting old. At the nursing homes, if you've ever been there, a lot of the people cannot comprehend anything about who they're voting for. They have no idea. They're there. But they are sent a ballot. They're sent a ballot. And so one of the workers there, Mrs. Jones, how are you today? I know you can't see this very well, but I'm going to help you fill out your ballot. Here, I'll tell you what. Why don't you go ahead and sign it first? Therefore, we know it's you, and that's it. And get that out of the way. Okay, well, because I know you would never do anything. Yeah, right, okay. So, first of all, who do you vote for president? Well, I want that Trump guy. I like what he's doing. Well, I understand totally. Kamala Harris, okay? And that's what they do. They actually, and by the way, you are supposed to ask for an absentee ballot. I can tell you from experience, a lot of county clerks or whoever's doing the elections, they send them, if they're Democrats especially, they send them to people that never asked for them. Happens all the time. All the time. I like that. Joe says, Dave's right. I bet if they looked up people I picked up in the past, they probably are still voting. Hey, think about this. Here's how it works for that. I'm glad you brought it up, Joe. So-and-so dies. Now, we know how slow government works. So somebody says, hey, Sally Smith over there died today. She's 87 years old. We need a Democrat who looks older, to walk in there and say, I'm Sally Smith. I don't have my ID with me. And they look at her and she looks like she's older, whatever it is. And they go in there and they vote. The person's dead, but they got somebody to vote for. This happens all the time. I told you, you will be voting Democrat if things don't change when it comes to election day. Don't think you won't. I've never voted Democrat. Well, I have voted twice for Democrats, but that was to prove a point. And in fact, you should see what happened here. This happened to me a few years ago. The person running for county executive in my county is a Democrat with an R next to their name. And I told my listeners, I said, you know what? I'm going to vote for the real Democrat because I don't want to vote for somebody that's got an R next to their name. I know they're a Democrat. And the Republican establishment, he votes for Democrats. It didn't work on me because I don't care. I told the listeners and everybody else, it's like, I did that because the guy running is a Democrat, and people stupidly think he's a Republican because he's got an R next to his name. He's not a Republican. Happens all the time. People on every state level and congressional level, they don't do the research. There's somebody that all of a sudden has an R next to their name, And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people who have changed parties. But why have they changed parties? I checked it out. I actually met somebody who was running for judge, and people who know I'm talking about, I'm not going to say his name, running for judge, and I met him, and he had changed from the Democrat Party Republican, and he was quite active in the Republican Democrat Party. But after having a nice conversation with him, he said, I couldn't stand it anymore. They were killing babies, which I absolutely don't believe in abortion. They wanted to take my guns away. He said, I'm sorry, those are two things you just can't do. He was not anti-union, but and I'm not anti-union. I'm anti-bad union. And Republicans got to get that. We got to stop being stupid voters. There are a lot of voters who are union. You don't piss them off by saying we're anti-union. You say we're anti-bad unions. And by the way, the gentleman was here yesterday. He was in a bad union. He was a union guy. He made a good living, but he knew his union sucked when it came to supporting Democrats. That's Charlie Grodecki. He was a union guy. My son used to be a union guy. Don't ever think he voted Democrat. Otherwise, I'd have to kick his ass. No, he's not that way. He's a smart young man. I stopped saying kid. He'll be 50 next year. God. You're feeling old when one of your kids are turning 50. That's right. Well, that's the way it goes. So anyway, that's where we are. But, I have a lot of respect for people who gave their life to the military. And I really do. And let me get this squared away here. I got two ways of doing this. This is pretty cool how I did this. So anyway, let's one of my favorites, you've heard him before, Wesley Hunt. Here we whoop. Got to do this.
The global war on terror. 14 of my West Point classmates are no longer here. They died in the global war on terror. They didn't see the age of 26 years old. By the way, all 14 of them were white males. And when they gave their last full measure, I can assure you, they didn't die for white people or for black people or for Hispanic people or for Asian people. They died for you. They died for all Americans. This is the fight that we face every single day. It is incumbent upon every single person in this room to honor their sacrifice and to continue to find ways to serve for those who are no longer here to serve for themselves. And if you're here, that means you're in the fight with us. 14 of my West Point classmates are no longer here.
I want to tell you something. What he just said is exactly what I do. I never got to serve in the military. And to be honest with you, I always felt a little bad about it. Not terribly, because I never believed for 1 second the Vietnam War was good. But I always wanted to serve my country. And this is how I've served my country for the last 30 years. And I got more involved. When 9/11 happened, I was doing radio in Springfield, Missouri. And I will never forget. Or was I? Anyway, I did it right after 9/11. That's what it was. And I just felt so bad. And I, like a lot of people, well, good morning, Pat. How are you? But when I saw Building 7, and most of you, if you don't know about Building 7, you don't know about 9/11. You just don't know. Building 7 was a building, and unless you're dumb or blind or something like that, the building was brought down by implosion. No doubt about it. And I don't know if anybody here, there's no doubt about it. Every expert involved in implosion says that was an implosion. You look at this building, I'll try to describe it. You look at this building, and you see the building like this. You don't see anything on this side. Over here, you can't even see the fire. There's a little fire. There's fire on the one side of the building. And all of a sudden, the building goes down. It was an implosion. And when I saw that, it woke my ass up, and I said, wow, we are in trouble. This is not just about people on the other side. this is not just about Muslims. Somebody went in that building and did whatever it took. There's certain things you could put on the paint, and that it's an accelerant. It's bomb. What they use for bombing, whatever they use it, it explodes. Let's put it that way. And that building went down. Somebody planted stuff. Whatever, I don't know how they did it, but there's no doubt in my mind that's what happened. And if you think there's any doubt, you bet you got to do your research. I'm telling you, it's so scary. I was a union. I worked for 5 years. Had 5 years prior as non-union. See, that's what. Am I right though about unions? Yeah. Look. When I was up in Jefferson County, I met some really good union people who ran the unions there. And unfortunately, here was the problem they had. And they told me this, that Dave, unfortunately, we got to listen to the people out of D.C. But they didn't do it locally. They did some of the things because they had to. And they didn't like it either. But they were doing their best to save it. In fact, my friend the judge, made a comment to me. He says, Dave, union people will respect you more because of how you bring about what you do compared to other people. Because they knew I was an establishment. I'm more of a blue-collar, down-to-earth person. Hard work to me is important. And if you don't work hard, you deserve what you're getting. I just believe in hard work. And I know a lot of people, we just saw a bunch of people don't believe in hard work. And it makes me sad that so many people's lives are ruined by the fact that they've been taught that hard work isn't good for them. It's really sad. But when you watch some of these things that goes on in our country, you're going, wow, how can we have gotten that bad? Well, we have. We've gotten really bad. And the reason we have is because our side, I know you're sick of hearing it, but until I see people do something, it hurts that we have allowed our country to let this happen. Oh, wow. And that's something else I just happened to see this, about the January 6th pipe bomb. We want to talk about that stuff. There's so many things about January 6th and 9/11 was set up. No doubt about it. Anyway, watch a little bit of this here. This is Scott Jennings here. Watch this.
Auto pens has existed in every presidential administration across parties. I had an auto pen when I worked at ICE.
I'm sorry, Elliot Williams.
Elliot Williams literally had an auto pen.
You were important enough to have an auto pen. I'm so impressed.
I am important, Casey. But no, and so it's a common practice.
Did you allow people to use the name Elliot Williams without your knowledge of the document or what was on the page?
I don't recall. So
I'm asking you, if you were a government official and you had an auto pen, which you did, would you let some staffer sign things in your name without reading?
Yeah, here's the question. Was my authority delegated to that person? And I think they do have the authority to do so. Laws and and I'm serious, Scott, laws and regulations.
The authority to delegate pardons and executive orders, the President of the United States can say, you unelected staffer can go sign my name on a document that I've never seen for a decision that I've never made?
Quite often, the United States Code delegates authority. So through the President of the United States, through the Attorney General, whatever else, X person can carry out a function. And certainly that could be the case. Now, Donald Trump, for instance, in his first term, pardoned like 1,600 people. And I have a hard time believing that he was aware of every single person that he was pardoning. One could make a challenge. Every president does this. Now, if it's a question about Biden's fitness for office, did he know what he was? Of course, raise that question. But I just, one, given how vast the pardon power is, and two, given how comprehensive the use of auto pens are across administrations, I have a hard time seeing a legal challenge.
Nobody can be delegated the pardon power.
Yes.
It is a constitutional power.
Yes.
And I don't really think you can delegate the executive order power either, because the executive has to make the order.
So, Scott, the president...
They do everything they can, don't they? It just never ceases to amaze me. I bet you Trump reads everything he signs. I will go along with that. I'll go along with you all the way on that. Trump, even if he doesn't read everything, he has people around him that may give him a summary or something like that, whatever. Whatever it is, he knows what the hell he's signing, and he signs it. And by the way, you ever notice something about Trump? All right, the older, years ago, you would see them take a box of pens and make one little mark, give it away. Get another pen, do it, and give the pens away to all these people. Trump uses one pen and signs the damn thing, and then he shows everybody what he did. That's how it should be done. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But that's where we are. Auto pen. But look at the people. The Biden family, including Hunter, auto pen. My favorite one, Fauci. Pardoned. Why? You know, he was Dr. Mengele all the way. I mean, they were doing things to dogs. And by the way, you ever notice the PETA and places like that? They don't support Trump, but they sure liked what he did when they say they're closing down all these things where they got the animals and they're just destroying animals. They're giving them all kinds of crap and they're making them suffer with it. I mean, I find that awful. Yeah, I know sometimes there's certain things you got to do, but it's just an experiment. It just, I don't know how anybody, I really don't know how people can deal with that. But where is the, where is PETA and all these animal rights groups? I'd like to know. I'd like to know. Because right now, it's not looking good. Right now, it looks like the only thing we got to be concerned about is making sure everybody gets to vote, even Joe's customers. Hey, you know, Joe, if it wasn't for dead people, you wouldn't have a job. Yes. By the way, Joe, you got to have it in the show someday. It might be interesting to hear some interesting stories you have sometimes, because I bet you some of them are, I couldn't do what you do. I really couldn't. Of course, I got people say I couldn't do what you do, but what I do, but I could not do what you do. I really couldn't do it. That's just me. All righty, 5 years later, several lingering questions could be resolved if the FBI simply would release security footage from DNC headquarters. An 8.5-minute FBI video on January 6 pipe bombs released last week omits key new evidence, relies on likely manipulated low-quality footage, and excludes crucial hours of security. Now, I trust Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. I do. But there's so much stuff that has gone on, and this is what people don't understand, for many, many years, all the way back through the previous Trump administration of what was going on. Joe, everybody says what I do is easy. It's really, you know what we don't do anymore? I just thought of this. We have these college-educated jackasses who think they're smarter than everybody else. Anybody can do that. You know what I hate doing? I hate detailing my car. And when I see somebody take the time and effort to detail a car, I give them a lot of credit. I really do. For me, it's just, I've done it many times. But it's something that's like, it's just something I don't like doing. I respect those. I respect those who do road work, who out in the sun all day. I did things a lot of people didn't do too. In fact, when I first started in the work world, people don't know this. So I started in the work world after I got out of high school. I started moving appliances. My first job was moving appliances. And I'm a little guy. I'm only 5'8", and I wasn't exactly a big guy back then. But I got to be bigger because I gained the muscle and the technical things you do to do those things. So anyway, I did that, and I just remember that a lot of people said, "How can you do that?" Because it really, when I go back and look at it now, it's like, I don't know how I did it. Of course, now I can't do anything, not like before, but we would bring refrigerators up down the stairs, 3 and 4 floors a lot of times, just carrying them. We'd strap them up and down the stairs, and it was normal. I mean, it was just a normal thing we did. It's like, don't think about heavy, just pick the damn thing up and let's go. And I would train the people who work with me how to do it. And they understood it was leverage, and there was muscle involved. But you want to hear the funny part about it? Yeah, people don't respect what other people do. They just don't. Joe says exactly. People don't have respect anymore. I always respect people what they do or can't do. I wouldn't, hey, you know what? I was a math whiz. Would I want to sit there and do accounting all day? Hell no. That would bore the hell out of me. That would bore me to death. And I could calculate faster than anybody, but I just didn't want it. I'm more of a hands-on guy. I'm a blue-collar guy. A lot of things I've done, a lot of people wouldn't do. But I move these appliances up and down the stairs, and I saw, it's funny, I saw on Reels one day. Tell you where I was. I saw on Reels one day, when we had deliveries far out, we used a pickup truck. And I could put a refrigerator up and down on there all day long, slide it off onto my dolly. It looks so easy. But most people said, are you crazy? I mean, I'm talking about a big old heavy refrigerator, 300-400 pounds a lot of times. I just slide it out, put the dial there, slide it down, nothing. The hardest part was putting it up there. Still wasn't that hard. But you got used to it. But a lot of people couldn't do it. How do you do that? I just do it. So when I see somebody doing work, how about remember 30 Jobs by Mike Rowe? You ever seen that? If you haven't seen that, you learn to appreciate what other people do. There's people that go work in sewers with rats and all kinds of critters, roaches, everything. In fact, I'll tell you one of the weirdest things I ever did one time. I was delivering refrigerators. Yeah, I'll get back to it in a minute here. This is kind of fun. It's the Wednesday. I was doing a refrigerator, and the spray guy was just there. A lot of these homes were infested with roaches. And I went in there to deliver a refrigerator, and they said, well, you got to wait. And I said, why? I said, we just sprayed. I thought, I'm not going to sit there and wait an hour or whatever. So I said, I can leave. Well, just go and put it inside. So I went inside. As we're putting it inside, the roaches start falling off the ceiling. Well, the way my drive was, I want to do it. I went ahead and got that out, put the other one in, stuck it there. It probably got full of roaches anyways, going to anyway. But anyway, well, couldn't because they were killing them all. But I was picking roaches out of my hair and all that stuff. I just wanted to get it over with. What show? What show? Mike stands up for the working man. Oh, Mike Rowe. Yes, Mike Rowe. Yeah. He stands up for the working man. In fact, he's pushed it. Look what they did to our schools. I told you, ladies and gentlemen, get off your asses to help get our schools back in line. They took out shop class. I took shop classes in high school. It was great. It taught me a lot of what I learned how to do. I could do a lot of stuff. I learned how to do a lot of stuff in shop class. Now you get young men, their dads don't teach. There's no dad around most of the time. Dad doesn't teach them anything. You know what? Dads can be there. This is what Charlie Kirk did. My son saw me go to work every single day. He had no excuses not to go to school. He knew I went to work. He had to go to school. There was no such thing as not showing up. I took shop. Joe said I took shop. It was crucial to learn how to handle tools. Yeah. And to this day, I still haven't seen a left-handed screwdriver. Yeah. That, when you get somebody that's a rookie and you go, yes, there's screwdrivers there, get a left-handed screwdriver. Why? Because I have to use my left hand on this one. And I swear, people that don't know, and this is simple stuff people should know. There's no such thing as a left-handed screwdriver, of course. But people don't know it. These are basics. People don't know how to use screwdrivers or hammers or something like that. And actually, I thought it was a good idea that some ladies could get into shop class. Of course, back then, I don't know if it was really allowed. We only had boys in there. Of course, we're learning to be boys while girls learn to be girls. But, I think it's a good idea to learn that stuff. But we don't learn it. How are you going to learn it at home anymore? Their dad's not there. Look, my dad never showed me that stuff. The only thing he showed me how to do was drink and get drunk and beat up people, which I learned that wasn't a good thing to do. I never did it. And a lot of homes are suffering. They got dads, feminist dads. I call them feminist dads. What do? They don't know how to use a hammer. They don't know how to use a screwdriver. Not everybody can. I get it. In fact, I've met women, they go, yeah, my husband couldn't do it, so I fix things. Cool, that's fine, as long as you get it done. But our boys, I'm going to go back to something I think it's more important I haven't talked enough about. Our kids need us. When I coached hockey, baseball, I coached a few sports. I love teaching the kids. When I coached it, I watched so many times, and when I told my high school players that you were only allowed to play on the high school team, the parents got upset. Well, he plays on 2 other teams, and in the back of my mind, I'm going, did you ever spend time with your kids? Your time with your kids was putting them in the car, take them here, carry their equipment in, and do that and say, yeah, I'm doing it. Spend time with your kids. Do something with them instead of taking them for them to be entertained all the time. And frankly, I'm sorry, you could take your kid may say, I want to play in 3 hockey teams. You're the parent. No, we're not doing that. Here's one for you. You're going to a restaurant. Everybody's got their phone with them. You got 2 parents, 2 or 3 kids. Everybody's at their phone. They're not talking. They do it at family tables and all that stuff. They don't talk to each other. You send them to school. They spend 7 hours at school. I got some really cool stuff on that. I'll show you soon. They spend their time going to school, then after school activities. Then they come home and they get to spend a couple hours with mom and dad, maybe, unless they're busy. They'll spend time with their parents. Where's the family time? There's some that do. God bless you. But it's not happening. And in the black communities, the kids want to belong. And this is what some people don't understand. I didn't care if I belonged. I was very unusual, as you can tell. I was very unusual. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. I just thought that I had to take care of myself. I got to bring this up. Linda brought up something, and this is blue-collar work. Now, who would do that? Linda's husband runs auto shop business. They can make up to $150,000 a year. They're shorthanded because too many parents say, you need to go to college. That's the only way you're going to make money. Plumbers, electricians, people work for contracting companies, building roads and houses and stuff like that. They're making more money than college kids. You know why? Because the college kids are too busy. Okay, the ones that are blue collar, they're out there working their job. The college kids are going to school, being brainwashed by the universities and colleges and the media. And the blue collar kids are working already. The other kids are building up these huge loans that they have to pay forever. Why would you do that to your kids? Why would you say, yes, you want to do that? You want to be a psychologist or sociologist? Well, that's fine. You go to college, it costs you $25,000 a year. You'll be there for 4 years. It'll cost you $100,000. But don't worry about it. You're going to make so much money that you can pay it off in no time. I think we have enough lawyers. We got enough of these white-collar jobs. And by the way, how good are white-collar jobs going to be now? You know what they need more than now ever? Blue-collar jobs, blue-collar workers. because AI has taken over. AI is going to make the white collar worker almost non-existent. Yeah, they're going to have some. Don't get me wrong. It'll take a while, but Amazon and other big corporations are laying people off. They'll be laying people off. Not because, now here's what the Democrats say. They're going to say, well, it's because of the economy. No, it's because AI is taking over, and AI is going to do the work that that worker would do. And by the way, remember, Mamdani is going to double minimum wage. Ask the California workers how that worked. Many California workers who worked minimum wage jobs no longer have a job. They've got, if you go to a restaurant now, people are tired of, and look, I can understand this myself being an employer. I was a babysitter for quite a few years. First of all, you got to pray they come in. You got to pray they're not drunk or something like that. I mean, my workers were good. They didn't do that. We drank at the end of the day, but that was it. But they knew they had to work the next day. And I tell you stories about when they did come in drunk, what I did to them. I'll tell you one in a minute. But anyway, my workers knew what their job was. They showed up every day. You don't know if they're going to show up. A lot of employers don't know if they're going to show up. In fact, I talked to a lot of business owners with the business I used to be in, and one gentleman said, I hired 5 people to do roofing. 4 were younger, and 1 of them was older. The 4 younger ones, in no time, were taking days off in the first week or 2. Well, I got to take my girlfriend to the doctor. I got to do this. They didn't want to do it. They wanted the check. They just didn't want to work. And he said, within 3 weeks, the 4 that I hired that were younger, who could actually physically be able to do the job, they quit. Well, he said, no, they quit or they fired him, both. He said the last one was an older guy, and I had this happen to me once. The last guy was an older guy. He says, I like the job. He says, I physically can't do it. He was like his late 40s, early 50s. And when you get older, you just can't do it. That's all there is to it. I had that happen to me. I had a younger guy. He's going to work. Didn't even bother showing up after 2 days. I fired him. Had another guy I fired him. He wanted his money right away. Long story, but I hired another guy. He was an older guy. He says, "I'm looking forward to doing this." We had to deliver appliances, like I told you. We had a business, an appliance business. We sold and delivered appliances, these appliances, and he just said, "Dave, I can't do it." By the way, you're right. If he does, minimum wage is going to destroy family-owned business. They don't have the brain power to know that. That's the problem they have. You got dumbasses that say, oh, good, I'm going to continue. They don't improve themselves. This is something I never understood. I've told everybody I know, make yourself indispensable. If you think you got a factory job that's going to last forever, never, ever do that. It's not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. You have to do that. My brother-in-law had to close his automotive shop because he couldn't find workers. You see what I'm talking about? No, but I want to sit behind a desk and tell everybody else what to do. You feminize the men. All they want are white-collar jobs. And a lot of these people shouldn't even be there. They're bored stiff. They find other things to do. It just, blue collar's the way to go. Mike Rowe is on top of it. In fact, how come we give money to colleges? This is where we got to stop this crap. I don't think we gave money to colleges and universities at one time. And they were very, very minimal as far as what it cost to go there. A lot of people would work at the same time and then go to college. That's what they did. These days, I wouldn't think of that. I'm going to spend my time studying. Really? You lying sack of shit. You are not going to stand. You're going to spend your time going to the classes you think you need to go to, and then you're going to party. Most of my friends that went to college are functional alcoholics. Party animals. I can't keep up with them. When I was never a party animal like that. They're partying all the time in college. I mean, seriously, I got friends that work for me, by the way. Here I was, the high school graduate. I was like Charlie Kirk. And they used to come for me for advice, by the way, which is interesting. They're the ones going to college. Dave, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I had a gentleman working for me who, I swear this is truth, who had a master's degree in electrical engineering and asked me to help him wire his house because that wasn't included in his electrical engineering. Where did I go to school? A lot of you have been to that school. The school of hard knocks. I learned on my own or from other people. That's how we used to learn. And some of these people that are teaching you are brilliant. Never been to college. I'm not saying don't go to college. Sometimes it helps with certain things. I get it. But you know what? What did we do before colleges? What is the left doing now? They are training everybody to be a working stiff. They don't want you to think. They don't like thinkers. Oh, my God. That's why I never made it in the corporate world. I was in it for a little bit, and I found out there's a lot of jealous people ahead of me, and unless I killed them, there was no chance I had because I wasn't good at kissing ass. That's right. He couldn't even wire his house. He had questions. Hey, look, I learned School of Hard Knocks. I did. I learned from others. I studied. And now it's easier because you can go to YouTube and learn all that stuff. You can learn it. Yeah, your daughter had to go to veterinary school. And let's go back to college again. How many kids? Why do kids have to take a DEI class and pay for it? Yes, you got to take this class and you got to pay for it. Well, that sounds brilliant, doesn't it? I don't think so. So, that's where we've gone. Our world has changed so much, and we have to adapt to it. But I'm going to plead right now more than ever. If we are at a standstill, now you may think, oh, New York's nothing. We have Muslims invading our country. We have illegals invading our country. Yes, we're getting rid of the illegals. And look who's fighting us. Look who's fighting us. There's people out there who are professional protesters who are fighting us. You've got people like George Soros and other scumbags who are paying these protesters. I showed you last week. Guy had pictures of all these different professional protesters. That's what we have. Dog says, I tell young people learn a skilled trade. No one can take that. Exactly right. My son, and this is another way of doing it. My son went in the Navy. And when he went in the Navy, he learned about reading schematics and stuff like that, which is something I never got to learn. And so that was a good thing he learned. I learned from him. He came back, and I learned how to I learned how to do things without that. But when he showed me that, it was a little bit easier. Fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but you learn from others. I learned from him. But I became the expert. Here I was, never went to 1 minute of any of that stuff, and I became the expert in refrigeration. Linda said, I'm a white-collar worker, never went to college, still employed until I retire soon. Been laid off a lot. Yeah, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, framing. I mean, all that's there, ladies and gentlemen. That's where your kids should be looking. And guess what? They cannot take it away from you. Okay, if you go and you say you got a sociology degree, what are you going to do with it? You're going to hang your own license out there and say, hey, I'm doing this. Good luck. That's called starting a business. And I guarantee you, here's something. They may have showed you a sociology degree, but if you want to start your own business, you got to learn it on your own. And a lot of people don't do that. They think they can. They think they got this degree. They can walk into a place and demand to make $100,000 a year. Well, guess what? You're a plumber or electrician, whatever. And by the way, I know how to frame. I know a lot about HVAC. I know a hell of a lot about electrical. And I know a hell of a lot about plumbing. I can get on a roof. I know how to do that. I don't want to do it. I don't like it. And I don't do concrete. I know how to do both of them. I don't like it. I let somebody else do it that's better suited for it. It's not me. But you know something? Every one of those things that you said, dog, plumbing, electrical, that's something you can go anywhere in the world and use it. Because it's a vocation that has been minimized. The leftists have said, oh, you're only a plumber. Well, let me tell you, when your toilet stops, you ever see that episode? I'll be done in a minute here. You ever see that episode with Frasier, where Frasier and his brother are trying to fix a toilet? They couldn't even come close to it. They were lost. Here they are, highly educated people who don't have a clue about any of that stuff. It's needed, folks. We need everybody. So appreciate what they do instead of thinking you're better than them. And for you college people, don't you ever, and you did this to Charlie Kirk, used to piss me off. You never even went to college. You want to debate, young man? I will debate anybody that went to college. Anybody. I don't care. Just like Charlie Kirk. And I guarantee in most areas I know more than they do. In most areas, because I've learned, because no matter what I do, I learned. I didn't go to college for this. I didn't go to college for computers. When I first got my first mixer, I don't know what the hell, okay, fine, I've seen them. I had to learn how to do it. I had to read. I had to do all that stuff. When I started programming computers, I had to read. I had to do everything. That's how I learned. It can be done. But these days, what happens? No, you have to sit in a college class to learn. You don't. Anyway, I'm done. I'm not bragging. I'm telling you what we should do. But this comes back to what I say. Please, we are in October. Most school board elections are in the beginning of spring. Do us all a favor. Get involved now. Go to your school systems. Find out what's going on. If you don't know, a lot of people don't even know. Whatever you do, do that. Because we need you. We need you to help us take it over. My husband can do almost everything. Yeah, exactly. Linda's married to somebody, and they don't go out there and contract out. I mean, I know people that contract out for things. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to say what it is. It's like, really? You need somebody to help you with that? I don't think so. Anyway, I learned. Anyway, all right, here I go. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back on Monday. Let's see how everything goes the next few days. And, of course, I will be here to report it to you. So thank you so much. Everybody watch the show. Thank you so much for all the nice compliments. I appreciate it. And I'll be back on Monday to bore the hell out of you. See you Monday.
You can't quit. And why not? Because you're fired. You can't fire him. Why not? He quit.
Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
German? Forget it, he's rolling.
And it ain't over now. Because when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Who's with me?